Okay, we are back from the break of the first hour and the news and everything. So, before the end of the first hour, I discussed that the fracking is on the news again. Okay, and as you remember, there were complaints about fracking causing earthquakes, which is the most logical thing. You're messing up the earth stability, so underground stability, so it's illogical. But no, paid scientists said, no, that's not proven. That's not the case.
Paid scientists.
Paid scientists, yes. It's like saying somebody comes to you, I'm a medical expert, and I'm telling you that you were hit in the head with a sledgehammer, but there is no damage to your head. And you believe it because he's a scientist. No, actually physician, I'm not scientist at all. But anyway, yeah, he's telling you, no, you're, yeah, your damage is all in your head. Yes, it's all in the head, but it's not imaginary. Anyway, so that was the first thing. Now they're coming back with the suspicion that the chemical used in fracking cause endocrine disrupting activities, which mean disrupting hormonal activity. See, now they're saying that they think that's possible. Oh, gee. All the chemicals they're using a large variety of chemicals, and apparently this has been going on for 20 years since they started the fracking. You're telling me that is not really determined that is causing endocrine disrupting hormonal activity? I mean, come on. Endocrinal damage, get real. And
I understand.
Not only these chemicals are linked to decreased fertility, but also are linked to increased cancer incidence. And they're saying, well, this has been, of course, they're telling you this is happening, but then they say, well, it isn't really proven. We need to do more testing to find out if that is really happening. Okay, and they are using, as you know, the fracking for finding pocket of natural gas. But
oh yeah, I understand.
What they're really saying here is it is possible, but we are not sure, and we have to do more testing. In the meantime that we do all these additional testing, the fracking should go on, just like they do with drugs. Well, there are some reports that this drug might be damaging, but we are not sure, and we need more testing to determine that that's the case, which buys them time. They still sell those drugs. They still hurt people, but we are investigating. We are working with FDA to find out if that's the case.
Okay.
And I don't know about the fracking who they're working with, but they are investigating, trying to find out if that's the case. First, they do tremendous damage, then they say, oops, this is possibly causing some damage, so we're going to investigate it some more. After the fact, anybody with a brain would have figured out that fracking is not the way to go to maximize the profit and find more pocket of natural gas. No. And by the way, I can tell you that the sites in different states where the fracking is going on has caused a lot of jobs and people coming in, and the carpetbaggers ripping them off because they're making all this money and they're ripping them off. Typical. That's what's happening. So, two forms of ripping off. Ripping off the workers that have a job, that finally have a way to make ends meet and have a source of income, and the people that suffer from the fracking effects. So damage all across for the big companies, petroleum companies to make more money, and the stockholder to make some disgusting profit. All of this in the name, as I said, of the one God that this country worships, which is money. Yeah. Yes.
Okay, thank you.
And it doesn't matter. Again, just
Bye-bye.
like in medicine, it doesn't matter the damage you cause to people. Doesn't matter the environmental damage. It doesn't matter the health damage. Nothing matters except the money. And apparently, this has been going on in the country for a couple of centuries. This is not anything new. So, and apparently, it's not anything new that people are not fighting back and allowing big business to be fatter and fatter and richer at the expenses of the little people. And how do we put an end to that? Revolution. Say no and revolt. Seriously. Anyway, okay. That's what I... Now, because of the people complaining, because of the people opening up their eyes about what's going on, well, maybe not with they're not doing anything about the petroleum companies, and they're complaining, but the fracking is not being stopped. And nothing is being stopped in medicine either. However, some of the doctors are trying to appear to be on the side of the patient just to ease off the discontent, just to ease off the complaints that patient put out there. And so they try to find a way. See, I am the champion, that's what they say, of helping people. So this article on Medscape of December 23rd says, stop scaring patients. So that's a big thing, and it obviously catches the eyes of people. Stop scaring patients. I've said that before, but in this case, saying that the doctors are scaring patients on how esophageal cancer evolves. The cancer of the esophagus evolves in a certain way, and they really don't know what way, because if you read the article, it tells you how much they don't know. And but it says stop scaring the patient, because they say that doctors are telling patients that have reflux, acid reflux, and that will develop the esophageal cancer. And by the way, it's called Barrett's disease, but they say it's adenocarcinoma, but they say Barrett's disease is incurable. So to me, what they're saying is don't worry about trying to predict it will happen, because it's incurable anyway. That, to me, is the bottom line of this article, but really it isn't. What it's saying is that all the tests being done have grossly failed to detect the cancer. Gee, like, I'm surprised about that. I have seen in the past so many people that had adenocarcinoma and it was not detected for quite a while, and it was not detected until I treated, and then they get the immune response during the healing. No, they have cancer because the PET scan is saying so. Yeah. And then they do the wrong testing because, as I told you many times before, you cannot use the standard biopsy when the tumor has been killed with heat. Hyperthermia kills the tumor, causes coagulation necrosis, and coagulation necrosis cannot be picked up with a normal biopsy and cannot be picked up with a PET scan. It cannot, because those two are misleading. The biopsy does not look... See, as I said that so many times before, it's not even funny. Coagulation necrosis, just from the name, it tells you that causes coagulation of what? The cytoplasm. And if you compare a cell to an egg, which is what it is, or just a cell is giant in the case of an egg, the cytoplasm is the egg white. You thicken the white. The egg white, you thicken No nourishment gets through to the nucleus, which is the yolk. So what happens? The cell dies, but because the damage is only done in the cytoplasm, it's frozen in place. And the nucleus, aka the yolk, does not decompose fast. It takes years to decompose. And when they go with a biopsy, they say, okay, the nucleus is intact. So therefore, the egg is alive, the cell, you know. And it's not. It's just ignorance galore, okay? And that's why these so-called, the ones that call themselves scientists, know absolutely nothing. They're kimosabi. And they're tanto, too.
Kimosabi.
And they're tanto also. Okay. Yeah, people. Kimosabi is an American Indian word, and actually it was used as a joke in the show, just people didn't pick it.
Well, tonto is Spanish for
no, tonto is not
idiot.
Spanish.
Well, T-O,
No,
it's not pronounced the same way, but T-O-N-T-O.
Tonto is
means,
Italian.
Well, it's also a Spanish word, too.
Yeah,
right?
but it's Italian, and it means imbecile.
Mm-hmm, right.
And that's what they did. Man who knows nothing, that is accompanied by an imbecile.
Right.
So the show was, and that's what they are in medicine. Kimosabi and tonto. Tonti in Italian, the plural. Okay, so, about this article, to attract the attention of the public, doctors have to stop telling patients that they have heartburn or that they have a chance to develop adenocarcinoma, because the chance is very small. And besides, the Barrett disease is incurable, so there is nothing you can do about it. So stop telling them and stop scaring them. The fact that they have it, or they might have it, that's a totally different story. But at least you come up the good guy because you don't scare him. And that is something that in the past years, when I was actually dealing with patients, I found patients that might possibly have something, or have a relative that might possibly have something. They said to me that I was bringing bad news because I was telling, check this, check that, see what you can do about this or that. You know, they were telling me I was bad news because I was trying to develop their awareness of what is possible. Here, they're saying, don't make him aware of anything. And if it happens, basically that's what articles say. If it happens, it happens. It cannot be cured. Not true. It cannot be cured with what they have now, but like any other type of cancer, can easily be stopped if you use the right way. Okay? The issue is the right solution, which nobody has and nobody wants, by the way. Nobody wants. They want to stop scaring patients, and then when the cancer happens, oops, well, you were one of the few statistics. I'm sorry, but, you know, we're going to try. It's not going to help, but we are not going to try this and that chemo. But in the meantime, you have to set your affair in place. You know what that means? That's the solution of the medical. Okay? That's for things that they don't know what to do with because they don't want to know what to do with. Their effort is to try to control cancer with chemo and persistently poisoning people, but trying to control the cancer, and said, okay, you can live with that. You can live taking poison for years because that control your cancer, and that's it. You can continue going on with your life. And that's not a life. Because your body continuously being poisoned, that's not a life. And the alternative practitioners do the same. They don't use poison in most cases, or at least at the beginning, but they use alternative things that do nothing. Or they just, when you're lucky, slow down the growth of the cancer. Sometimes they actually accelerate it, but in some cases and in some situations, for some individual, they can slow down the growth. And then they say, wow, victory. Slowing down the growth might give you more time, but it's not a solution. The solution is to kill the cancer, and that is not allowed. Cancer Society and FDA and the AMA have stated that cancer cannot be cured. There is no cure for cancer. And anybody that says, even with evidence, that there is a cure for cancer is obviously a fraud and must be terminated immediately. Okay? Case in point of the history of my life, okay? It doesn't matter that there are people out there that say, hey, what is going on? I'm doing great. I don't have any problems anymore. It has been years. I am fine. Oh, no, those people are delusional or they're lying because everybody knows there is no cure for cancer. And there cannot be because we're not allowing it. Okay? That's what happens, and that's the sad story. But there is a big issue that this week is also being, well, it started December 20, is being addressed, okay? The year 2013 was a breakthrough year because the breakthrough of the year was cancer immunology. What the heck is that? Well, the word would tell you...
Immunotherapy?
Yeah, well, the word would tell you that you are immunizing people against cancer, but it is not that at all, okay?
Immunizing them against their own DNA?
Right. Going haywire, but their own DNA. Yeah, that's what they're saying. And now, there are different ways to do this, apparently, in their opinion anyway, and they go over in this article of December 20th, they go over the subject on how to do that. And for some reason that I can't figure out, they use one of those UMAB drugs, they call them immunotherapy. Okay? And I don't know if you remember, a couple of years ago, the ipilimumab was being tested. Remember that? And the Bristol Myers Squibb, and the brand name is Yervoy. Okay?
Right.
And that's when the MUMAB crave started. Okay? And it was reported as like an extraordinary drug that was helping a lot because patients lived 6 months instead of 4. I'm sure you remember because I talk about this a lot.
Right.
So it was amazing. Not only that, ended up the Medicare would pay for it because it's such an amazing improvement of people with advanced melanoma. Okay? And that hit me personally because one of my patients that was free of melanoma, his history his records indicated that he had melanoma and had gone to MD Anderson and then ended up refusing the treatment. So for them, he didn't receive any treatment. So how his melanoma disappeared remained a mystery. Because as far as they were concerned, melanoma, he still had melanoma. Well, then it just so happened that he was involved in a mysterious car crash that gave him a tremendous case of whiplash. He came out alive, amazingly enough, but he had a tremendous whiplash. And I was trying to explain what was going on with him, and he was in horrible pain, but I was trying to explain to him what went on in his case. And he ended up being scared, went to the doctors, they lied to him of what had happened. They could see the damage on the ultrasound, they could see the damage, but they ignored it and said it was melanoma metastasis, and they talked him into going to ipilimumab trials, okay? And they killed him. They gave him too much of the stuff, and they just mistested it, and they killed him, okay? And, of course, when he died, it was because he came to see me. and his melanoma had disappeared. But then it reappeared, and that's how he died. Okay, that was the story. But then they said that the Yervoy was so successful. Oh, such extraordinary effect because the patient could live 6 months. Not that they were cured. They could live 6 months extra. No, not even extra, just 2-3 months extra. So Medicare was paying for it, even though the bill was over $100,000 a year. They would pay for it. Not that the patient would live that long, but now in this article say, well, ipilimumab on its own doesn't really, and needs another to be combined with another experimental agent called nivolumab.
Oh, sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, and it's still, and it is also Bristol Myers. Okay, it's the same company that make both.
We got about 30 seconds.
Okay, so this is a bit longer than that, but anyway, so there is something that can be combined with the wonder drug Yervoy, and then it makes it better. And they don't say how much better in time of survival of it. But anyway, we're hitting the break, and we'll go into it, and we'll continue this disgrace, discussing this disgrace.
Adding a mystery drug always makes everything better.
Oh, and experimental. So that means that you are adding it, but it's not FDA approved yet.
Real alternative radio. We are OrionTalkRadio.com.
Orion News Talk exists because the corporate news media has failed us miserably. Our media has been controlled for decades. In 1917, J.P. Morgan bought up or infiltrated the top 25 newspapers, and news control became reality. The CIA took over in the 1950s with Operation Mockingbird, recruiting over 400 journalists and news people, including Walter Lippmann, Edward R. Murrow, and Walter Cronkite. And today's top media figures are members of the Council on Foreign Relations, a group that at best is a think tank for foreign intervention, and at worst a proponent for the New World Order. The number one rule in journalism is to always follow the truth. The number two rule is no entangling alliances that prevent you from following rule number one. So why then are corporate media members part of the CFR? And now today, 6 corporations control our major media, which is why more people are turning to us. So keep listening and tell a friend. Orion News Talk. News and views beyond the mainstream media.
Okay, we're back from the break, and this is the last segment of the show, and I guess times go fast when you're having fun. I hope we're having fun. I don't know. But anyway, it's not...
Well, not as depressing as last week's episode, anyway.
Yeah, I know. I was really in a depressed mood, and I am trying to get over it.
Well, I can imagine you guys haven't been apart at Christmas time for a while.
Only twice in our lifetime.
Wow.
Yeah. Not good. And even then, when she came back, it was still the usual going on, okay? So,
right.
I still try to make it the Christmas that we'll always know. See, my father loved Christmas. To him, Christmas was the great time. And of course, my mother, the way she was, spiteful as she was always trying to create disorder, fight, and problems. But he always managed to make it a good Christmas. And he was the one that got into special desserts, special cooking. I was trying to teach my mother to do it, and she just was not interested. Okay, so she was always messing up, but he was doing it. And I was a little kid. I was so fascinated to see him do these special dishes. And so I couldn't help. He wouldn't let me, but I was watching and learning. He just did not know that, but I was. And so I got that. I don't know if it's something that came with me or just got it from him, but I thought that Christmas was a super special time. And even though I went through difficult times in my life, and after the first divorce, Christmas was never the same, but I kept it inside, and I still celebrated, and my daughter was happy. And so having to give that up this year was awful, okay? Because even the time we didn't have Christmas together, she came out immediately after. It's just this year that has been really hard, along with all the other problems we have had. So it's disgusting that just a handful of crooked human could cause that much pain. It's just disgusting. Anyway, so it was hard. I'm trying to get over it, and I'm also hoping that we all will have a better year. At least it's not a cursed number.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping we're all going to have a better year, so that's all I can tell you. But let's go back to a major offender in our lives, which is the medical establishment. And so they're talking about immunology, and for the life of me, I cannot figure out why ipilimumab, Yervoy, is considered immunotherapy. Because it doesn't, it's for advanced melanoma. It doesn't immunize you from anything. Apparently it helps, supposedly, in their calculation, for the patient to live longer. I have no idea if that's the case. I know that it killed off a guy that had no problem but other than fear. Oh, and listen to this, okay? One thing that I didn't point out, that these two drugs combined, Yervoy combined with the other one, nivolumab, okay, they are effective. They have a response rate. And now, let me tell you, they're saying response rate. That doesn't mean success, doesn't mean killing of the cancer, just a response. Killing some of it, not curing it. A response rate of 52% during phase 1 trial. What the heck is that? Phase 1? That means absolutely nothing. But that is a great success, see?
Huh.
And then, and in another phase 1 trial, the tumor types that had metastasized or were incurable, they had success with antibody from Genentech, and they produced an amazing overall response rate. And I stress that again, response rate. That means they had some kind of response. They didn't say they were cured or the cancer was all killed. Okay, but the overall response rate was 21%. That is really to jump up and down of joy, because 79% was still sick with no response. Okay? This is where we are at. But then, okay, this is the big thing. This is the big thing in immunology. But then there is the car.
The car.
Yes. That's how they shorten the name. It's CAR. Well, I know we all like cars, but this is chimeric antigen receptors. Okay? And they really are engineering cells. What they are is T cells that are taken out from the patient. They are genetically altered. They are put back into the system, and they supposedly kill cancer. Okay? So I looked at some more detail of cars. I know. I thought that was really funny.
Carfax.com.
Yeah, right. But these are antigen receptors, so it's a lot serious thing. Okay. The artificial cell receptor, they're known as by the name of chimeric T cell receptors, chimeric immunoreceptors, chimeric antigen receptors, CARs, and are receptor. Really?
Chimeric.
Yeah.
Chimera generally Well, you know, chimera generally refers to one of these hybrid organisms.
Well, they're artificial, so that's why.
Oh.
And graft, what they do is take out the T cells of the patient, okay, and they graft an arbitrary specificity. Yeah, boy. Onto an immune cell. Typically, these receptors are used to graft the specificity on monoclonal antibody onto a T cell. Okay? These are artificially developed. Okay? Then after they are artificially altered, they are injected back into the body, and they are supposedly helping killing cancer, I guess. But they're using all sorts of ridiculous. They are using an anticoagulant, and they call it Buffy code cells. I mean, this whole thing is totally ridiculous, all the information they give you. But basically what they're trying to cover up is the fact that they artificially alter your own T cells, and they put them back into the body, and they expect that to resolve the problem of cancer. Okay? That's what they call it immunotherapy, immunology, and it's the breakthrough of this year. Well, you know, this is 2013, so bad luck anyway. But what is the goal of this? The goal of this, like with Yarvoy, is to reset the patient immune system. Reset the patient immune system and do what? And turn a deadly disease like cancer into a chronic disease. See, that's the goal of medicine now. It's not the goal of killing whatever you have and putting an end to whatever disease you have. No, the goal is to turn it into a chronic disease. Okay? If you turn it, and get this, the immunotherapy in this article is stated do not work in all patients, and they might not work in all kinds of cancer. Okay, if that's the case, to me, they don't work at all. Because cancer is the same process on anybody. They have different DNA, but it is the same thing. It's out of control growth of cells. The signal that tells the cell to grow does not go off. It's out of control. So, and all type of cancer have the same aspect. It's not just some type of cancer. That's what cancer is. Growth out of control. That causes this alien mass to grow till it presses against vital organs and it kills the patient. Now, nobody gets to that stage now. Nobody gets to that because they take so many drugs to stop that process that they get killed by the drugs, not by the cancer. Although it's blamed to cancer, you know, they're not dying of cancer. They're dying of drugs side effects. But this immunotherapy, okay, this immunotherapy does not work for everybody. But if it does, and when it works, what it creates is a chronic disease. Meaning that your patient will always be your patient. It keeps coming back for more of the treatment. So it's an open line of revenue. And then the patient becomes somebody that, quote, trusts you and is your friend, and you keep seeing the person and say, see, I'm keeping you alive, which is not the case, because you keep pumping them with drugs. You really don't know what side effects they have on the long term. And the patient died. Oh, but he did not die of cancer. Yeah, what did he die of? A heart attack, a liver failure, kidney failure, all side effect of the drugs used for cancer. See? But they reported as a different cause of death. So they were successful in turning cancer into a chronic disease because that's what the goal is. You do, the member of the medical association do not want anything cured. Everything has to be turned into a chronic disease. That's why we were told years ago when Les Medic was still functioning, we were told, you cannot make any money with this method. We don't want this method. You cannot make any money with it. Because the price was so much less than everything else they were doing, and because the patient would actually be cured without maiming, without poisoning, and without burning, with radiation, which causes other cancer. See? I had, a while back, this patient that, was at the third fight against melanoma. And see, melanoma, all cancer are really made worse by surgery, but melanoma more so than the others because melanoma has these very long branches that can, which is, they call it metastasis, but they're really branches and how it spreads. Instead of getting the tumor, see, most tumors grow bigger and bigger and bigger, okay? But melanoma gets to a certain size and then it spreads. It's got all these branches, okay? If you cut into it, you don't know how long the branches are, you cut into it, the branches are still there, okay? And of course, cutting causes bleeding, so causes more of the cancer to grow somewhere else. But those are already there, the different branches. So what are they disconnected from the main, and they still grow? So the last thing on earth you want to do with any cancer, but especially melanoma, is to do surgery. And then, of course, poison doesn't do anything. Chemo doesn't do anything because it is skin cancer, and it doesn't get that fast to the skin. Okay, it gets everywhere else, but not to the skin. It's difficult to get to the skin. So using chemo for skin cancer is just because the doctors want to make money off the patient, but it's not going to help. But radiation, it might even kill it, but radiation causes more cancer, so it's obviously not the solution, and it might not even cause melanoma, it might cause bone cancer, but that's what it does, additional cancer. So you don't want to do that. All right? Well, this patient had the cancer spreading in different places, and then finally, twice, was not resolved. The third time it shows up, it came to me, and I treated him, and I took care of the cancer. However, being spread, had different lymph nodes getting swollen during the healing process, a different immune system reaction, which were just normal from the healing stage, but he did not listen to me, did not believe me. And when he got swollen lymph nodes, he decided, whoop, more melanoma. No, those are just overworked lymph nodes, and there are things that you can do to eliminate that problem. But he didn't listen to me. And then he went to Mexico, of all places, to get his cancer treated. Again, he had gone to Mexico before he came to me too. But why he went back, I have no idea. So he went back there, and charlatans that they are, they told them, you need a systemic because your cancer is everywhere. Your body keeps making cancer. And he believed it. And he said, I have to do something. I have to take all these supplements and all these things they tell me because my body keeps making cancer. No, your body is working on eliminating the dead tissue. And I explained that to him. I don't know how many times over the years. And it's still, oh no, my body, because this charlatan tell him that because they want to turn cancer into a systemic, into a chronic disease. Cancer is not systemic. It might appear to become so because all the wrong approaches in treatment, but it's not. It just happens somewhere, and that's it. Big deal. Okay? You kill it in place, and that's the end of it. But that is not allowed because that would resolve the problem of cancer. That will eliminate the fear that people have of dying of cancer. So they won't go to get all this garbage medication that make them sick, cost a fortune, And eventually they kill them, because even alternative medication are rough, hard on the liver and the kidney, and people can die of kidney failure or liver failure. That happens even with supplements that people think they're healthy. It happens with chemo, but it also happens with supplements. You can, supplements are good, and you cannot take too much of a good thing. No, wrong, you can. They might be good for certain things, but not taken forever and in large amount. It will kill the person. It will kill the patient. Of course, they think that they're told that they are dying of cancer, but they're not. They're dying of side effects and whatever garbage was put into them, whether it is the product of standard medicine or alternative medicine. Still, the issue is that these people want to make the cancer a chronic disease and patient a permanent patient. And the patient's not going to be a permanent patient. It's just going to be coming back for a while till they die, because they do. They do die, whether it's alternative or a standard medicine. They do die because it's a wrong approach. If something doesn't work all the time in all type of cancer, it is not the answer. And maintenance of the cancer, like people do with alternative, whether it is B17 or any other nonsense, it is not the answer. It's not killing the cancer. It's not resolving anything. It's turning you into a chronic patient, a patient having a chronic disease. No, that is not the answer. That is not what should happen. The cure is something that eliminates the problem, eliminates the disease. Yes, nobody wants to see that, because although alternative practitioners do not make the money that the AMA makes and the drug company make, they still make plenty, and they're not helping the patient either. So there we came with the solution, and of course, yeah, people complain about the price, which is peanuts compared to what they have to shell out for alternative or overtime or a standard treatment. But it solves the problem. It solves the problem. The patient no longer has cancer, is fine, has no longer any problem, can live a normal life, can work, can support himself or herself, can enjoy life with their family, do what they want with their own life. It's their life. They should be allowed to do what they want with it. And not having to go to the doctor all the time. To me, that is limiting somebody's freedom, having to go to see the doctor, having to accept what he says or she says. That's not a life. That's not the way to go through life. That's not the way you can handle your work. You can't do that if you have a job and you want to make money and you want to be successful. You can't do that. Like I always say, people have much better things to do in life than go to see a doctor. There should be something limited in time and not imposing on your every existence forever.
Yeah, we've got 30 seconds now.
Wow. The time has gone pretty fast today. Well, what I have to say is we're going to try to do our best. It's very unlikely that Barbara will be able to get back to the show from what I gathered. I don't have any recent information about her, but it's very unlikely. So it's going to be just Randy and I don't know. We're going to do our best. We work to survive, make a miserable living, but just still have making a living. And we're always tired, but we're doing our best. And we'll do our best to keep it up and keep you aware of what's going on. My wish is that with the coming here, you will pay more attention to what I say and start fighting back. Fight back, because I cannot do it for you. I can tell you what you need to do, but you have to be the one fighting back. It is your life. It is your future. It's your existence. Well, the last thing I want to say is this is the last show of the year, and we are going into a new year, and the best thing I can say, let's hope that this new is a good one.